Welcome back, Bonne Vie Connoisseurs, and welcome to this month's theme of rosé that's had contact with oak. Last month we looked at the wine vessel and how it acts as a conduit between oxygen and the wine, showcasing the many different interactions which allow gentle oxidization to take place, the exception of this being stainless steel. We wanted to explore this a little further this month and introduce Rosé Champagne that's had contact with oak. This has two benefits. One, helping us to understand the impact that oak has on the wine, and two, a fabulous reason to send you excellent rosé champagnes, which happens to be one of my favourite categories. Now let's get straight into the producers that we're showcasing this month. First up is Lenoble, based in the picturesque village of Mareuil in the Marne Valley. We've had the pleasure of meeting with the proud owners, Antoine and sister Anne Malessange, during a recent visit to Champagne. We discovered that the house was founded in 1915 by their great-grandfather, Armand Raphael Grasser, hence the AR on the label. He thought that, like many other German-born producers that had now moved into the French wine region, Bollinger, Taittinger and Heidsieck, that he would drop the Grasser name and adopt a more French name of Lenoble, literally referring to the noblest of wines in Champagne. There is a lot to say about this house, and it's risen to sit amongst one of my favourite Champagne producers. And I love what Anne and Antoine are quietly achieving. They're pioneers, and they remain to this day 100% family owned and completely independent. This means a lot in Champagne, and it also means a lot that they do exactly what they believe in and they answer only to themselves. The house ploughs between rows, they farm organically, they have great respect for their environment and the biodiversity of their vineyards, and they purposely reduce their yields to create more expressive champagnes. They are the real deal, and the wines speak for themselves. Which brings me to talk about the Terroirs Rosé, which is part of the Terroirs range. The colour of the cuvée is a dusty pink, alluding to the rosé, but classic red fruit this is not. My first impression on the palate is drawn from a combination of the low dosage and a dominance of mineral-driven Chardonnay, both adding to a chalky, mouth-watering surprise. Acidity is at the forefront of this wine, but it's not aggressive. On the nose, you have notes of white cherry, fleshy white peach, and pepper spice. These are the overwhelming characteristics. The oak is not evident from a flavour spectrum, but does convey a softer palate coming through. And you do see some subtle smoky tones which are coming from the oak use. Overall, there is a charm to this wine that integrates the finesse of the fruit, a subtle use of oak, a low dosage, with the underlying complexity from a good addition of reserve wines. Could this arguably be one of the most delightful and balanced rosés? It certainly has all the hallmarks for it. And more so, I wanted to highlight a wine that has had contact with oak, but it's not obvious in its oakiness, so to speak. Instead, you have something quite delightful. And if you are into game or meat, I would suggest perhaps serving this rosé with a seared duck, and really would be absolutely taken to another level with a cherry sauce. Beautiful partnership for this wine. Our next producer is one that has come across my tasting table many times, in fact several times. But it wasn't until my most recent visit in June last year that Kiri and I rediscovered some of the excellent cuvées from the esteemed house of Philipponnat in Mareuil-sur-Ay, just a few moments down the road from Bilcar-Samon. The house is actually owned by Lanson BCC. However, Charles Philipponnat, the family member, has been at the helm of the house since 2000, and he really is driving the importance of the area's famous Pinot Noir. For their rosé, the Pinot Noir takes the precedence in the blend. It's 75%, which is literally the inverse to Lenoble, that sits at a much lower percentage of its Pinot Noir. So the blend being 75% Pinot Noir, 20% Chardonnay, and the balance being Pinot Meunier. And it makes for a very different rosé style. Philipponnat uses the Solera method of aging reserve wines, which was originally developed for Spanish sherries and was designed to incorporate more oxidization through the barrels and create more complex and interesting wines. Solera systems are only used by a handful of other notable producers, including Pierre Peters, Charles Heidsieck and Baresh F.V., as reviewed in previous LBV TV episodes. The colour is rose gold, beautifully luminous. From a lees aging point of view, Philipponnat have given this wine far longer time in the cellar with contact with the yeast, which is substantially longer than any minimum aging period of 15 months. This is adding layers of complexity, layers of depth to the palate. It also increases, by the way, the wine's microbiological stability, meaning it will last longer in your cellar if you can resist the temptation, if you can, because the wine is immensely enjoyable. Another very important note about this wine is that the base wine is from the fabulous vintage of 2008, which is a 10 out of 10 vintage, compared to the 2012 from Lenoble, so very different in style. It has a great back label too, which I love, and Philipponnat are proud of providing this information. Philipponnat also use partial Malo-Lactic fermentation with their wines to preserve some of that acidity, keeping freshness, despite having 3 times the amount of dosage than the Lenoble Terroirs wine. The extra tannin and the depth of flavour feel balanced within, and they're certainly within the category of Brut at 9 grams per litre. For me, rosé is still one of the most exciting categories in Champagne, although it doesn't represent the largest number of bottles consumed within Australia by any means, but it certainly is a growing category, and that suits not only the sunny climate within Australia, but also our fascination with grilling meats and fish and crunchy salads. Whether it has oak influence or not, I'd like to see more rosé in our glasses over the next few years. Please enjoy 2 completely different styles of rosé this month, both excellent in their own right. Tomorrow I depart to Champagne for yet another experience meeting some of our amazing growers and producers. But for now, please keep exploring the region of Champagne, the wines of Champagne, and I look forward to seeing you when we're back again next month in May. Bye for now.